With this project, you're going to want to identify a space where you can work with some materials that are a little bit more messy. Plaster is a powder. It gets mixed with water. It spills. When it's in powder form, it sometimes disperses into the air and can kind of travel around in the air and land on the floor. So I have a workspace here where a polyethylene drop cloth that is 1 mil thick, and I cut a square and taped it down onto the table. You could cover the entire table. You could also lay down some drop cloth underneath the table when you're working with the plaster. Also, you are going to need to pull out of your kit. This is a plaster bandage roll, which is in your kit, and you're gonna wanna probably keep this in a bag so that moisture or water doesn't get dripped on it. You're gonna need a dust mask. This is an N95 dust mask. You probably could also use a surgical mask. This is our plaster. It's in a bag, it's about 9 pounds. You're probably gonna wanna divide this material up in half and partition half of it because you want to save material for the form that is going to integrate all of the parts together. I'll explain that more, but you're gonna wanna keep track of it. Also, keep this bag sealed, and if you are working outside with either of these materials, make sure they are sealed in their bags, or you might want to bring them inside overnight because there's a lot of moisture in the air. This is the mixing bucket. You're going to need to use that. This is clay. If you have any left that's still moist, that I would keep it in a bag as well. That will come in handy. And then you're going to need tape. I will be discussing a lot of other found materials that you're going to want to be thinking about in terms of making castings and using things around you as molds. So these are the kind of basic materials. Setting up your workspace is really important for this project, but you will be needing to kind of go out and find things within your home that you can use to make your project. There are a few things about working with plaster that are very important, and one of them is that you never want to wash your tools, wash your hands, wash the bucket out that you're working in, or any of the mixing containers out into the sink, because the plaster will go down the drain and it will set up and it will clog your drain, which could be very expensive to fix. So we're gonna set up your 5-gallon bucket as your cleaning container, and you're gonna fill it with 1/3 to half full with water, and that's going to be what you're gonna wash your hands off with, wash your tools off with, and wash any mixing containers that you're using. So here's a container that has some residue of plaster still in it. You're probably also going to want to find a cardboard box or something that you can clean the chips out or any kind of bits of extra plaster out, and then you go to your mixing bucket and rinse your bucket out so it's very clean. This is something that you can do after you finish pouring your plaster when it's still in a liquid state, and you can dump the sort of extra material that you don't need into the cardboard box, or you might even be able to make a little form where you could dump your extra material into that form, which would be really smart because you could be creating something that you could use in your mask piece. Anyhow, sometimes people like to put a little bit of bleach into the water. You could put a few drops of bleach into the water, which will kill any bacteria, because this water will probably sit for the duration that you're working on the project. But don't go crazy, because the bleach is not good for you. Anyhow, that is your setting up your bucket.